Hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar, 10 Quick Tips to Help Students Succeed This Fall. My name's Emily and I am an implementation specialist at ALEKS. I'm here with my colleague Vanessa, who is also an implementation specialist. Vanessa is going to be sharing 10 quick tips with you that will help you get the school year started right. And I'm going to be taking any questions that come in. So we know your time is valuable and this is a pretty short webinar at 30 minutes, but we'd like to answer as many questions as possible, so ask away. And if you're having trouble seeing the Ask a Question box, you may need to hit the arrow in the orange box to expand out your control panel. So feel free to ask as many that come up at any point throughout the webinar. And with that, I'll turn it over to Vanessa and the 10 quick tips.
All right, thanks Emily for that introduction. So welcome everyone. Our goal for you today is to use these 10 quick tips to help you plan for success, create an effective implementation, facilitate best practices for students, and to really keep students motivated and ALEKS time fun. So for today, for the first few tips I will cover will help you plan for success to make sure you don't leave anyone behind. And that's right, we do have some fall fun puns for you today, so feel free to laugh at our corniness.
Feel free to send us any puns that you think of as well.
Yes, we try to get creative with this. So our first tip of the day is to prepare an ALEKS toolkit for students to bring on ALEKS days. The toolkit consists of an ALEKS notebook, pencils, erasers, or any helpful resources or handouts from the class. To motivate students, consider giving students a point every time they bring their toolkit or rewarding students who bring it every day for a month, for example. We do recommend that each student has an ALEKS notebook where they can do their work and write down explanations. And this can just be like a simple composition notebook for them. And this will really help students stay organized, and it becomes a great tool for them to reference while using ALEKS. And as a tip, we know that sometimes students forget their login names and passwords. So what you can have them do is write down their login name and password in their ALEKS notebook so they always know where to find it, and they don't need to come to the instructor every time they forget that. And as a best practice, we do recommend that students write down the date, pie slice, and topic so you and the student know what they are working on at all times. You can also organize the notebook by colored tabs, as you see by this picture here. Each tab represents a pie slice and its corresponding color. So when the student is working in a particular pie slice, they would go there to the corresponding colored tab in their notebook and record all of their work there. This is kind of an easy way to help them stay organized and look back at their work. You could also organize the ALEKS notebook by chapter if you have integrated a textbook with ALEKS. Our next tip is to start each ALEKS session with quick start activities. We recommend to create a set routine for students so they know the drill when they work on ALEKS and they don't need to wait for your direction to get started. So for example, they can log into ALEKS as soon as they get seated at their computer, spend 10 minutes in quick tables practicing their math facts, then complete 3 review questions, and then go on to their PI and learning mode to work on their ready-to-learn topics. We find that students really appreciate the structure, and it will help them transition from their previous activity. They will probably even impress you with actually how quickly they get started and get on task if they have this routine in place for them. So, you can always write this on the whiteboard so they can go and look at that and they know what that routine is. And just as a reminder, once students spend 10 minutes in quick tables, games will be available for them. So that could be a fun way to end their ALEKS session for the day. Our next category is teacher best practices. No tricks, just treats. A great way to help students succeed is to cultivate parent involvement. So, sometimes it takes a village. You can send home a parent letter to introduce ALEKS to their parents and include instructions on how to check their students' progress. This is done through the student's account under reports. So students and parents can see the student's pie chart, progress towards mastering standards, and the time and topic report to see how much time they are spending in ALEKS. And we do also have a parent letter that we can send out if anyone is interested in using this.
Hey, Vanessa, we had a question come in.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. One attendee wants to know if parents can log in to their child's account.
Yeah, they definitely can. All they need is the student's login name and password. So I'm going to pull up a free trial account here. So students can give this information to their parents, or the teacher themselves can go ahead and get that information. And what you can do, an easy way to see all the login names and passwords for your students, is to come to your account under Home and view that class roster. And don't worry, I've read this several times. I know exactly what it says word for word. And once you do that, you will see a list of all your students' login names and passwords. And you can share this with their parents so they can log in on ALEKS.com and see that student's information. And they just click reports once they get to that student account.
Great, thank you.
No problem, Emily. At Back to School Night, another way to involve parents is to go through the free trial process. So maybe you can have a few computers set up and have that free trial available for them, and they can see what it's like from the student's experience. You can also do a quick demo presentation of ALEKS and just quickly walk them through that as a class. And we really do encourage parents to reward their students for progress in ALEKS. This could just be something simple through praise or extra privileges. And we really want students to have as many cheerleaders as possible to encourage them. And when students are working on ALEKS during class or in a lab setting, you should be available to them and circle the class during ALEKS time. So check in with each student. Maybe have them show you what they're working on. You can answer any questions, find out what students have recently added to their pie. This is a great time to point out any students who are maybe working on the same topic, and they can ask a student buddy if they need help. And if you do have a tablet, such as an iPad, you can bring up the time and topic report while monitoring the class to make sure everyone is on task. And to get an even more detailed view of the student's work, you can check their learning sequence log in the time and topic report to see the topics the student is working on and their click pattern. So if we click here, we should be able to see a little sample of the learning sequence log. So as you can see, it just does a timestamp of when the student completed each action for a topic. You can see their click pattern, if they got that problem correct, incorrect, they click the explain button, or added their problem to their pie. And so if you are seeing multiple incorrect answers here, that could be an excellent time to do some one-on-one work with the student and see, they got it wrong and how did they answer that? And remember, you can see that result by just clicking that link there. And a benefit of doing this is to really ensure that your students are staying productive during ALEKS time. You can really get a feel for where the students are in the class and make note of some common mistakes and issues to address in your lesson. So just like I make a date with my TV to watch The Voice every week, you should make a date with ALEKS. And you can do this by just designating a time each week to sit down and view reports that are valuable to you and your students. So as you know, we all have some automated reports here that are in real time. So you can check the time and topic report, for example, to make sure students are spending adequate time in ALEKS and mastering topics. So if you have a goal that students should master 10 topics per week, you can come in here at the end of each week and make sure students are meeting that goal. If you find that students aren't meeting your expectations, you can check their learning sequence log, like I just pointed out, to help pinpoint what the issue is. And on the flip side of that, if students exceed your expectations, that's a great time to give them praise and recognition for their success. Another great report to make a date with is the ALEKS Pie. And remember, this is where you can check which topics your students have mastered, not mastered, and which ones they are ready to learn to adapt and inform your whole classroom instruction. And remember, you can also check your standards report to make sure your class is progress towards mastering standards is going well and meeting that time criteria. And remember, we are correlated to all 50 state standards and the Common Core. And this report is really going to help you monitor the progress that your class is making to help you analyze that progress. Our next slide is to make ALEKS part of the class grade. And I know as a student, that was a huge motivator for me to do my work, is if I knew it was part of my grade. And we recommend to set clear individual goals for each student based on time and progress in ALEKS. So those two kind of go hand in hand, time and progress. You can then grade the students against their completion of these goals. And make sure the students know how to monitor their own progress so they can determine where they're at. This can be done through that report button on the student account, so they don't have to ask you how much time they have spent in ALEKS for the day or for the week. You can go ahead and direct them to that reports feature on the student account. And remember, they have that time and topic report available to them on their side, and they can see how much time they've spent in ALEKS.
Hey, Vanessa.
And yeah.
One question came in, actually two.
Okay.
The first question is, an attendee would like to know if ALEKS notifies them if a student hasn't logged in today.
Okay, it won't send you a direct notification that they haven't logged in, but what you can do is you can come to your instructor account, and once again you'll go to that time and topic report, always very handy. And here we do have a column of last login date. And what I always like to do here is you can actually click that link. And it's going to sort those login dates from the most recent to ones that are a little bit older. So you can come to the end of this page here and see, oh, okay, look, Daniel hasn't logged in a few days. Maybe I need to have a conversation with him, say that, oh, I saw you haven't logged in, let's go ahead and get that started again. I want you to be able to progress, and kind of point those students out there.
Okay, great.
And just remember, you can always sort any of these here at the top. So, you can even do it by date to see, the students who have spent the most time for the day, all the way down to students who haven't spent quite as much time.
Cool. And while you're here, would you mind showing how to access the learning sequence log? Because a few people have asked where they can find that.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So in order to do that, you would just go to the student whose learning sequence log you would like to look at. Just click their name. And what you see here, you can see their topics mastered and click that to view those topics. But what you would do to see the learning sequence log is just click that actual date, and it's going to show you a detailed view of the student's learning sequence log. This is a free trial, so this isn't the best example, but for the student, you would see a detailed the timestamp, so when they completed each action for a topic.
Perfect. And I also just would like to add, when you're in the time and topic report looking at the latest login date, if the student is currently logged into ALEKS, the date will show up in red. So that's another way to kind of tell which students are currently working in ALEKS if that's something you're interested in.
All right, great. Thanks, Emily, for that tip.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. And, it's also important to remember, we all have a bad week from time to time, so treat each week as a chance to start anew for the student with a clean slate. And we do have some examples of how to grade in ALEKS. We find it is most effective when you use time and topics mastered as a combination for a grade determinant. So for the time and topic report, you can look at this to help determine the grade. And we do recommend 2 to 5 hours per week for best results in ALEKS. And the more time the students spend in ALEKS, the greater their learning outcomes. So for example here, we have the student Herbert, which I guess is a name you don't hear too often, but he's here. And our goal for Herbert is for him to spend 3 hours per week in ALEKS. So if we go to his time and topic report here, we can see he spent 1 hour and 41 minutes for the week. And remember, you can change that date range at the top to look at any week that you want to. So we'll see here where I set my parameters for the week, and I see that he spent an hour and 41 minutes in ALEKS, which equates to 101 minutes. So he was a little short of that goal of 3 hours, or 180 minutes. So I just set up that proportion there, and I see that he comes to a 0.561. So I could give Herbert 5.6 points out of 10 for the week for his time spent in ALEKS. The second part of that grade is to measure progress. So you would look at their topics mastered per week. Again, make sure you set a clear goal for each student and they know what that goal is. So again, for Herbert, we had a goal for him to master 9 topics per week, and he was able to master 8. So 8 out of 9, he would get a 0.889, 8.9 points out of 10. So maybe I would round up to 9, and I'm a little bit of an easier grader, so I'd give him 9 out of 10 for the week. And remember, students typically master 2 to 3 topics per hour, and this could vary a little as the course content becomes a little more challenging. You know, that number could drop 1 to 2 topics depending on the student, as that content, you know, becomes a little harder throughout the year. And you know, we do want to really stress to create a reasonable goal for the student based on how much time they work in ALEKS per week. So student best practices. Make ALEKS automatic, which that one's one of my favorites for the puns. So students should sit in groups to work on ALEKS. And you know, this is a recommendation, but for many students, sitting in a group during ALEKS time, even if they are mainly focused on their own computers and it is that individual personalized learning, it's just going to break up that monotony of the day and add structure to their ALEKS time. So for strategies to group students, you can look at the progress bar after their initial assessment and see, you know, where they came in relation to their peers, and place students in, you know, groups around the classroom. You can also group by ALEKS course. So if you do have, you know, different students in ALEKS courses, you have that mix, you can sit the students by the ALEKS course that they're taking. And finally, you can also group students using that ALEKS Pi report at the class level and group the students based on their ready-to-learn topics, which is also, you know, very helpful for them because that gives them that peer-to-peer learning and someone to go to if they do need a little bit of extra help.
We had a question come in, Vanessa. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Sure.
Somebody wants to know if ALEKS will group their students based on their level.
What you can do here, not necessarily their level, but you can do what they're, you know, ready to learn. They're all going to be, you know, have those topics in common. So what you could do here is come to the ALEKS Pi at the class level, and we'll just pick a topic here, linear equations, for example. So I can see here, you know, on my Ready to Learn column, percentages here of what students have mastered, not mastered, and which topics they are ready to learn. So you could group these students however you see fit. But, you know, I really recommend coming to that Ready to Learn column because, you know, these students have these topics in common. They've met that prerequisite knowledge to be successful at learning this topic. So once I click on that percentage, I will see a list of all the students who are ready to learn this topic. So, you know, I can, you know, either sit them together or maybe do some group work and break them up into, you know, a few groups here, and they can work on those topics together or have like a study buddy to go to.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And, you know, with the groups, you know, you can allow students to have fun and be creative with their groups or their ALEKS teams, for example. You know, let them create team names, let them get creative with it and create group goals. You know, let them set goals for themselves. And you can even reward these teams, you know, maybe give them a reward for whoever gets started working on ALEKS the fastest. You know, have they sit down and get started, reward that group and be like, wow, great job, team, and give them a little incentive. You know, you can also do that for the group that makes the most progress on mastering topics. You know, let them have fun with that group goal and kind of get that camaraderie going. So our next tip is for students to refer to all ALEKS tools before asking the teacher. So when students get stuck, their instinct may be to raise their hand and call you over, ask you for help, and just say they don't get it. But ALEKS has many resources that can help them guide their understanding before they turn to you for help. So before they start in learning mode, teachers should spend time pointing out all of the resources in ALEKS and explaining the available tools. And you can create a checklist or process for students to go through before asking for help. So remember, like we have here, we've highlighted all the different features students can use, such as the review link, the ALEKS dictionary to look up any term, the ALEKS inbox where they can message you, the instructor, their resources that they can consult, and the explain button. So for a process, for example, once a student gets a problem wrong, they should click the explain button here because it will provide a detailed step-by-step explanation of the problem they were just working on. So, it's not just a generic textbook example. So the student can then write down the explanation that ALEKS provides in their ALEKS notebook. And, if you do go over, you can say, okay, well, did you write down the explanation? And, they can compare the work that they got wrong on paper to the explanation that ALEKS provides and highlight, what did they do wrong here. They can also explore further explanations on the explain page. So remember that words are sometimes linked to the ALEKS dictionary. So if a word is hyperlinked, they can click that word, and ALEKS will show them, some examples and a definition. And they can also come to the ALEKS dictionary here at the top to look up any term. And sometimes ALEKS does have an alternate and more detailed explanations available. So it'll say, another explanation, and the student can click on that as well to see, if that would make sense to them. Another step is, check the review link. They can come here to review problems they previously learned, and that could be necessary for the topic they are currently working on. And maybe they just need to brush up on a few topics before trying to attempt this new one. Another way is, like I said, to go back to that ALEKS notebook. That we really stress that, and see if they've worked through similar problems or need to remember a prerequisite topic. They can look back at their work, and they'll have this with them, whether at home, in the classroom, or in the lab. And you can also consult any resources that you've uploaded for the students. And as a reminder, as a new feature, we can now link resources to specific topic areas. So if you have a great way for students to remember how to simplify, you can upload that resource to a specific topic area, and students will be able to click on that resource. So another great way to be a little more in control of their learning and personalize that. And if you do have a textbook integrated, there could be, a page reference of where they can go in their current textbook to maybe review that information a little bit more. If, all of those don't work, that may be a good time for you to step in. But if you aren't readily available at that time, maybe you're helping another student, they can always come to that ALEKS inbox. And the student can use the ALEKS inbox to attach a screenshot of the problem or use the mathematical notations. So several ways the students can get some further resources before asking you. Finally, we want to spend some time going over how to motivate students and wash out boredom. So that's your final time for the day. I hope you enjoyed those. And there are several ways to display progress. We really recommend displaying progress in a fun and visual way. And, this is great for students who are younger and older. It's just a fun way to view ALEKS for their own personal progress or as a class. So for fall, we suggest trying a football field. It's football season. So you can let students make their own paper jerseys or little footballs and with their favorite team or class number or favorite NFL player, for example. And when they master topics or objectives, allow them to gain yardage, down here. So they start on this end and they're working their way over here. And they can get a reward once they make it to the end zone. So, reward students along the way and display that progress because it is motivating to them to see that displayed, with the class, and gives them a little boost in their motivation. Our last tip for the day is to reward students as progress assessments are triggered. So students often find progress assessments annoying. They think, oh great, I'll have to take another test. Wonderful. But we really suggest trying to shift their opinion of progress assessments. A progress assessment means that they have made significant progress in ALEKS. They've mastered about 20 topics and spent 5 hours in the program. So it should be recognized as a good thing. For young children, you can give them a small treat or maybe a special crown to wear for the day as the ALEKS Queen or King. Or they can go to lunch first, a few minutes early. We always like doing that in elementary school, I remember. And, for older students, for that football field, I just showed you, they can maybe get a 3-point conversion for triggering a progress assessment, or let them listen to music after they finish the assessment. So just giving them those little tips to get them excited about triggering those progress assessments, because it should be seen as a positive thing that they are making progress in ALEKS.
Hey Vanessa, I have a couple questions for you.
Yes.
I know we're almost at 30 minutes, so keep them brief.
Okay.
One attendee would like to know where they can see the dates that students took progress assessments.
Sure, no problem. Let me pull up that trial real quick again. What you can do is come to the progress bar report, look at that through the class level. And what I like to do here to see when progress assessments are triggered for students, remember we have all of these different modes you can go in to view progress, but I like to look at full progress over the last 12 months. And what we'll see here is that you're going to see each student when they took that assessment. So we can see here, this is when they took the initial assessment, and each progress assessment thereafter that. And you can see those dates here on the side. And you can kind of see their progress that they're making in between each assessment.
Great. So we have another question that came in. It's a 4th grade teacher, and she said her students have completed the current grade's ALEKS course, and she wants to know if she can let them go ahead, if they can move ahead to the next course. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a general guideline for that. We call that the 1585 guideline. So once students master 85% of the course in their PI, we can recommend moving them on to the next ALEKS course, because about 15% of that next course will be review of what they just did in their current course. So what you would then do is you would just go to home and, class admin here, and you would just move a student from this class to another. So whatever that student is you want to move on, you can go and select that student and move them on to that next course. And we say 85%, but that can be your determinant of what you want students to work to. And you would just select whichever topic that they're now ready for that course. So if they're ready for pre-algebra now, for example, you would select that course. And Emily, I believe you said 4th grade?
Yes.
So then you would move that student on to level 5 for ALEKS, and the student would be moved to that next course. So
perfect.
That 85% guideline is what you want to aim for.
All right. Thanks, Vanessa.
No problem. All right. So I do want to thank you all for joining us today. You can contact implementation@aleks.com for any further questions. And we will be sending out a recording of today's session to you later today. And next week we will send a follow-up email containing the tip sheet. So it will contain all the 10 tips I went over today. So you can reference that at a later time. And it will include some of the resources we discussed today, such as that parent letter, for example. And I do want to point out we do have a few more webinars coming up on Friday, such as using ALEKS with blended learning. It's Friday from 11 to 11:45 Eastern Time. And new ALEKS features, which is great, 2 to 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And I think Emily's going to send out that in the chat box, right, Emily?
I did, yeah. I sent it to everyone, so check the chat box for the link where you can see the dates and times and registration links for this week's webinars.
All right, great. So hopefully you can join us for those. Thank you once again for joining us today, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.